Hello and
Good morning.
welcome to week 6. I'm delighted to be here with you all. We were just talking about Mimi Hedwig and what a great author name that is. So we can continue that conversation. You had a comment, Mimi.
One second. Oh, I'm not muted yet, right? Yeah.
No, you're not muted.
How would I change? I'm already published under MF Jones. How would I change? Maybe this is something I should take up with you in a consultation.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll
yeah.
do that. I'll do
Schedule a
that.
time with me and we'll have to look at it and talk about it and
Okay, okay.
make sure
Thank
it's
you.
not too late. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I was thinking about it this week too, and how much I just love the name Mimi Hedwig. It's so cool and it's so
Aw.
memorable. It's so unique. But does anyone else have an opinion on it? Like just before we dive in, anyone opposed to it who think that that's a bad idea?
I think it's a
No.
great idea, what it's worth.
Cool. And before we started, we were talking about David Gillespie's sing-along video on his website, which hopefully everyone will check out, which is a very good time for me to talk about the networking document that I created in Google. So I'm going to show it to you. And it just occurred to me, did I actually put that on the website? I don't think I did.
I think you emailed it.
I did, but I might as well put it on the page. My only fear is I forget it's there because then I reuse this page. So maybe we'll think about that. But let me go to the networking document. And it looks like a lot of you have already filled it in. Wow. Okay, let me share my screen. So I just love the synergy of authors helping authors and thinking about each other during the week and, little things like, oh, this would be good for Mimi and, Jean won an award. We need to share it. That would be something that we could share on our social media pages that, I'm in a marketing group with Rose Prenderville. Did I get that right?
Prindiville.
Yeah, and she won it, she's a finalist in the Indie Awards. So like those are just cool little things that we can I don't know, own and have fun with. But so I created a networking group. I put my name at the top. So this is completely editable by everyone. In fact, Jean's in there right now. Look at her go. I love it. So everyone can just put in, a little note if you want. We want to keep it brief. And then we can grab each other's information and stay in touch. I've added your names and, just a little note about from our first conversation. So Audrey, obviously, you might want to fill that in with something um, that everyone will remember and that we can, help you with. And same with you, Doug. These are just my quick notes. But anyway, I would love it if we all stayed in touch and helped each other out.
That would be
Um,
great. I'm willing. Happy
cool.
to.
Yeah, and you
Yeah.
don't have to put your information in here or engage at all, right?
Oh, I'm
Like there's
happy
no
to. Oh,
pressure.
yeah, right.
For anyone else, like not everyone wants to stay connected. But so the last workbook is really about momentum. And I broke it down into 90-day segments because I feel like 90 days is like a good amount of time to try something out. And whether you're in your book launch phase or your book has been out for a couple years, try something out and, give it 90 days, assess and see, did I enjoy that? Was there any kind of return on my investment, which isn't always book sales, by the way. Sometimes there's other returns that we get for the long term that are very helpful. Followers, subscribers, simple engagement with our audience telling us that this is working and people care. And then, try again. And so I broke down the workbook that it could be used over and over again, where you can ask the questions, what are my goals? What am I concentrating on? So foundation and visibility, right? That's something that maybe isn't going to result in sales, but in the long term, it absolutely will. Or maybe you want to concentrate on relationship building with influencers or, organizations and places where you can collaborate or, get endorsements. And lastly, activation and momentum, really selling books. So then I kind of brought you through, a foundation check, choosing your primary growth focus, um, and then moving into another, the sustainability plan. How much time did it really take? And what will you intentionally not do? I thought that was an important thing because sometimes we get really sidetracked and it's easy to do too many things at once, which doesn't allow us to focus. So this workbook was really about taking everything we've done and creating an actual plan moving forward for whatever it is that your goals are. And it's okay for your goals to change. You might go through a 90-day cycle and realize, I'm going to course correct here. I actually want to, I'm getting so much engagement in this area that I'm going to kind of course correct and go that way because this makes a lot of sense. The end goal is still the same of selling books or building audience or writing more books, whatever that might be. But the in between is the part that really matters as we're paying attention and correcting and adopting new ideas and meeting people along the way, like all of us here. There's growth in these types of networking that's really exciting. So I'd like to open it up to you guys and really talk about some of the questions you might have about this idea, the marketing, anything you're not clear on or you'd like help with. And then at the end, I'm going to go through my website where I have all of the resources listed, and I'm going to talk about them and how you can use them. And then if there's any other questions, of course, we'll dive in. But does anyone want to volunteer your thoughts? Doug, and you're not muted, so this is
Yeah,
perfect.
I have a question about influencers. So what should we expect from an influencer? How much is it a reasonable amount to engage them?
Yeah.
I'm starting to follow some, trying to interweave myself with a couple of influencers, but I'm not sure about what they should bring, what they should offer, what they should do, and if they're a paid influencer, what per click. I don't know how that works, but what should I expect and how much is a reasonable amount?
Yeah. And everyone is different, and there's no real obvious answer to that question. So it's a good question. When I'm thinking about
And like
influencers,
how much influence, how many followers should I look at?
yeah,
I do look at I look at Instagram more than anything, and I have an Instagram, but it's just a framework. It's just fledgling. I only have like 10 posts, 10 reels on it. So,
yeah,
but
no,
I'm
that's,
that world is foreign to me, and I'm trying to learn it, but I need
yeah.
some advice.
Absolutely. And the first thing I'd like to say is, when I'm talking about influencers, there's traditional social media influencers, and those are people who have a lot of followers and you pay them to talk about your book. And that's not what I'm talking about today. I'm talking about people who influence your audience, who are already influencing your audience, who you could collaborate with. So that could be someone who has a podcast, specifically maybe a podcast that has an audience that you're trying to get to, right? So if we were to go out and research your comparable titles and look at other books in your space and other authors who are writing about, so your book is Chasing Vincent, and isn't it fantasy? Is that right? Your book, Doug?
So it's a historical thriller. It's still in
Okay,
an
it's
advanced
thriller.
review copy. So
Got
yeah.
it. I want to make sure I get the right references. And of course, my brain went to Vincent van Gogh for a hot second and my brain glitched. So we're going to look for other people who have written similar thrillers, and we're going to see, where have they been? Have they appeared on podcasts? Have they done any blog tours? Who follows them on social media? Where are they active on social media? And then we really look at the landscape of what they're doing. And we start with authors, but then from there we see who they are following, because they are probably following their own influencers, right? And so we're looking for patterns to see how people are reaching your audience. So ultimately, we're looking to sell your books to strangers, people we don't know. But then we kind of want to flip that on its head and think of those strangers as really our people, right? These are people who are interested in what we're writing. They're actively seeking our books. So we want to figure out where they are, and we want to go to them, and we want to play in those ponds. So if we can do that by being a guest on someone who always interviews thriller writers on a podcast, so that would be an influencer. That person has access to people who would read your book, Doug. So how do we get you on that podcast? So the first thing I do is I really look at the whole landscape again and figure out what all of our options are. So I've got 20 podcasts I'd like to be on. There's bookstores that feature these types of books specifically in my area. So in my area here in San Diego, there's a book called Mysterious Galaxy. That would be a great place for you to do a signing or a book read. There's also Thriller Fest, Boucher Con, Killer Nashville. These are places where you could go and maybe speak on a panel, meet other writers, and network with them of how to collaborate. Maybe do a giveaway. You give away 5 books with 4 other authors who have books similar to yours. Hopefully, speaking directly to the question of what you look for, they have a following, right? So if you can get 4 other authors who have 5,000 followers, then you put all of that together, and now you really have some muscle to reach your audience by doing a giveaway, by speaking on a panel with other authors. This is often a really good way to keep your book in the forefront and selling your titles, is working with other authors and speaking on panels around the country. So I'm the co-founder of the San Diego Writers Festival, and I have an author in Seattle, another one in LA, and another one in Portland, who are all coming together to be on a panel in San Diego talking about memoir. And the people in the audience are memoir readers. So after they're done talking about their writing experience and their journey and their relationship with their mother and the divorce they went through, whatever the topics are, the people in the audience who resonate with that are going to go buy that book. Now we found some more readers who are going to tell other people about these authors. So that's, to me, influences how you can get more visibility with your existing audience. So again, it could be conference organizers, it could be podcasters, it could be bloggers, it could be journalists, really could be anyone. It could be someone who reviews books on Instagram or TikTok. But the way to find them is not to just guess, it's to follow the breadcrumbs that have been left behind by your comparable titles. That's how we start to dig in here. And I don't remember who mentioned it. I thought it was you, Doug. Once you start doing this research and you start going down that rabbit hole, you're like, ooh, there's that and there's that. Ooh, that's a good idea. No, I like that idea. Write it all down, because that's the gold. Because we get overwhelmed and there's so many options. And then when you're finally like, okay, now it's time, you're like, wait, what was I going to do? Write it all down, put it into buckets, and then dump all those buckets out on your floor and organize them into places that are like, I don't really want to do that. That sounds intriguing. That would be too expensive. This is right up my alley. And then we categorize them. And then you make a plan. And then in those 90 days, you figure, is this going to help me build influence? Is this going to help me get visibility and foundation? Or is this going to help me sell books? And then you can categorize them and prioritize them in a way that really makes sense for you. Did I answer your question? Okay, cool. And I appreciate it, because it's like, okay, how do we do this? How do we reach these people? And giveaways on Goodreads too. You can reach out to authors who are on Goodreads and do a giveaway on Goodreads in conjunction with these other authors. I mean, there's lots of opportunities. David, you have a question or a comment?
Yeah. So yeah, question. So as I mentioned, I think last time, my book is now in the March 1st issue of the Kirkus Reviews magazine, and I took the opportunity to place an ad in there as well. Well, it's getting notice and traction, but because now I'm getting outreach by people who, it's obvious to me, are publicists. So can you speak to publicists, the role of that, the value or not of that, especially for independent debut authors, children's book, I want to make sure I don't get suckered into a world that I don't need to be in. So
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's almost the toughest part of being an author. It's become so difficult out there. It's shark waters. And there's a lot of spam, and you're probably going to get 3 to 8 or more emails every day telling you that they can make you famous or they can sell all these books. And for me, to answer the first question, does a publicist have value? I think a publicist can have value depending on your budget. So for my authors, I really don't recommend a publicist unless you have a really hefty budget. And I'm talking 60,000 plus, because a publicist is going to cost you 30,000 often.
Well, yeah.
And or you can find someone who will do a package for 5,000. And now I know a lot of the publicists, and I think a lot of them are sharks. And it's not very popular for me to say that, but it's true. I've been in this business for almost 25 years, and I'm horrified by what happens in taking money from authors. And you're excited about it, and they're promising all these things, and you pay them the money, and then you never get to speak to that person again, and you're put into the machine, and they do the work, but there's no heart behind it. Guess who has heart when it comes to promoting your book? You.
You, the author. Yeah.
You do. You have the heart. So now there are times when I think a publicist can have value, and there are publicists who I refer business to. There's a company in Austin called PR by the Book, does a great job. They're expensive if you can afford it. Now, who needs a publicist? Thought leaders, people who really need to be in the media, who need to be seen as a thought leader, as an advocate, typically nonfiction, people who are speakers, who are offering something in addition to a book. The book is the glorified business card for this person. It's part of the visibility, it's part of the credibility and the authority. So we use that as a jumping point to get them into the media and show that, wow, right, this person has a lot of credibility. So for nonfiction authors and speakers who are going to make money in another way, that makes a lot of sense. But for an author with a smaller budget, if you get on a podcast, or there's an interview about you, or maybe you happen to be on one morning show, it moves the needle so little that I'd rather see you go after those things yourself, because chances are you can and will get some of that media on your own. Now, PR by the Book actually has a really cool program called Author to Influencer, I think. I'll put it on the resources links. In fact, let me grab a piece of paper because I forgot to get scratch paper to remind myself to do that. And what it is they teach you how to do this stuff yourself, which I think is brilliant because it really is more effective if you do it yourself. I felt like I was going to answer another question. What was it? Well, maybe it'll come to me. Doug, you have a question.
So, my book showed up on Goodreads, and the next day I get this letter from James Patterson, famous author, that wants to promote my book and blah, blah, blah. And it was really well written. It had me hooked for a minute. And then I realized this is spam and this is dangerous stuff. But somewhere in my mind, I've got the idea or the memory that there's a website that authors can go to see if different influencers or different sponsors or different editors or different publishers are actually
soliciting,
genuine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know that website? Do you know anything about that?
I just call it Google.
Clearinghouse, a better business bureau for us authors not to get scammed?
I mean, honestly, just use Google. You don't need a website. Just do a search. Check. Is James Patterson sending authors letters about how great their book is and offering them services? Yeah. And you'll get answers, because AI is now pulling from all these people who are reporting that, yes, I got a letter too, and yes, I thought it was real, and they're so well written. But you know what? There's like the uncanny valley of AI is that it's too well written. It's like, we know it's like this, it's so complimentary. I want to love it and believe it, but there's something too good about it. And so we have to really be diligent and pay attention. I mean, I literally have an author who sends me 3 a day. I think this one might actually be real. She sends that to me like,
you want it to be real, but it's,
and I'm like, oh, and my heart breaks for her because I want it to be real. We all want it to be real, but that's just not how it works. Yeah. So, you have to separate the chaff, right? And for the most part, those people are never going to reach out to anyone. Yeah. But again, put it in Google and see if this has happened to other people. Catherine.
It has, definitely.
Catherine, you're muted. And then Audrey.
So again, I think we all have to be diligent and aware that there's people there that will scam authors. Everybody, I think authors are desperate to get their manuscripts published, and you just have to be wary you're a target. So be careful out there.
Yeah. All right, Catherine.
Okay. So I was drilling down on Goodreads and updating my author page on Goodreads, and I guess I didn't twig on the fact, and you just mentioned it, so I just wanted to ask a couple of questions about the giveaway program that they have. Mm-hmm. It says that it's like $99 for this Goodreads is time. It's within a certain frame, and I'm not ready for it yet, but maybe in a couple of months I can try that. And if you're part of Kindle Direct Publishing, then it doesn't cost you to send your Kindle books and they're suggesting that and it said on there, our Goodreads reader would really love to get the advanced reader copies. So is that really, it sounds like it would be worth it to be in that program and send out some, do like 100 giveaways or something like that of a Kindle book and see if you can get some good reviews. Does that make sense?
Totally. You know who's doing it right
Okay.
now is Lisa C. She has a new book coming out in June, and
Uh-huh.
I follow her on Goodreads, so I was offered the giveaway, and there's only a certain
Uh-huh.
number of people. So the way it works is you put your name and email into a lottery or whatever, and then they choose however many people who will win a copy of an ebook, and then you get to read it in advance, which is awesome, and
Okay.
hopefully review it on Goodreads. And there are a lot of
Okay.
programs like NetGalley. It has a program that's similar that you might look
Okay.
into. And since you're all members of IBPA, I really highly encourage you to go and look at your member benefits. If you haven't done that already, you can get discounts on catalog placements, discounts on NetGalley programs and the carousel advertising. So when you have a new book, it can be on the NetGalley site. And remember, there are a lot of people on NetGalley, but for the most part, it's people who are librarians, book buyers, podcasters, reviewers. I mean, people who you want to see your book in advance. Book Funnel is another one you can look into for giving away copies of your book in the beginning when you're going after endorsements. Now, one of the things that I have included on my website is an endorsements letter, not a
Okay.
letter, the process of going through endorsements. And we'll talk about that in a minute, but I'll mention Book Funnel again. Audrey,
If
you have a
you, if
question?
I'm, can I quick follow up on the Goodreads? Just question,
Sure, you
because
bet.
I'm going to start exploring that. Is that only for ebooks, or can you give away printed copies? Since my book's not ebook,
Oh, I believe you can also mail, you can physically
can you?
mail.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe so, but
Okay.
look into that. Yeah. Um, there are a lot of programs where you can physically mail them, but what a pain. But yeah, I see your point. You might want to have your book converted into an ebook too, though, David.
Well, I actually that was going to be another question. Is I have no idea what the market is for a children's picture book in ebook format. So anyway,
People are flying on a plane and they don't want to carry a bunch of books and they download them into an iPad and then the kid has access to a bunch of books on the iPad. So definitely there is a market. And I have a guy who converts children's books into ebook. If you want that resource, you just let me know.
I would love that resource.
Okay. Audrey,
Hi.
hi.
I was watching this YouTube of a self-published author, and she mentioned this website called Get Authentic Book Reviews. And
Mm,
and what happens is, the authors, it's an author's website, and so you do book reviews on Amazon for ebooks and you get points. And then you post your book. And then
mm.
that group, they also do reviews of your book. So it helps you to get more reviews on Amazon. And I was just wondering if you'd heard about it or, I could post the link in the
In
chat
chat.
here. But
Yeah.
yeah, like it's $65 a year. And yeah, so it's kind of like writers supporting each other to do book reviews on Amazon.
Yeah. So Amazon reviews and, swapping reviews can be a dangerous game on Amazon
Okay.
because they want, I mean, they're really I've seen them shut down and not allow authors to get any more reviews because they just decided that you're getting too many reviews at once and they're too similar and everyone likes your book too much. So we don't believe that these are real and just we're not going to allow you to have reviews for a while. For
Okay.
legitimate reviews too, because she did a really good job of promoting her book. So swapping reviews, if you post and this person posts and you get a lot of that, I'm afraid Amazon could likely shut down your account, not just your
Oh,
reviews.
wow.
So you have to be really careful. Amazon, all they want is for those to be legitimate reviews. So I
Okay.
don't know. And those are authentic book reviews. You're doing exchanges, but they're more likely to be less honest because of the exchange situation. But in this case, it's like strangers can review your book, right?
Yeah,
So, I mean,
strangers. Uh-huh.
I'm a little torn on it because, the one thing I tell all my authors is get more Amazon reviews. Try and get at least 30 Amazon reviews, and it's hard.
Hmm.
And Book Award Pro does a program, and I'm actually going to call and I'm going to ask her about that. Hannah is the name of the gal who started Book Award Pro, and say, how
Uh-huh.
do you get around this whole Amazon thing? I'm really curious to
I,
know what's
I
going on with that.
literally, I literally just looked at Book Award Pro this morning specifically for what you're saying. It pops up as like $199. You're guaranteed three Amazon reviews. And I thought, I don't know. It made me
Boy, that's a
nervous. So
lot.
I didn't.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know either. And I'm going to invite her onto my podcast next season and find out, what she has to say. Talk about it.
Hmm.
Because, it's a great service if it's, and her prices are not too bad, but three reviews is pretty low for $199. I can get you three reviews. Just have my mom and my sister. And, what's interesting
Yeah.
is Amazon does not let
Three reviews,
me,
199. Yeah.
yeah, Amazon doesn't let me post reviews. Like straight up, I'm not allowed to post
Really?
reviews. Really, unless they are a New York Times best-selling author. Amazon knows what I do and knows that if it's an indie author, that I'm probably connected to it and just straight up shuts down all of my reviews. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So you know what I do? I have my husband post them.
Mhm.
But I will
Is
tell you
there
that
any recourse?
That's awesome.
no, there's
It,
no
it,
recourse.
mm,
There's
mm.
no recourse.
The evil
There's no one to
empire.
talk to at Amazon. What's that?
I call them the evil empire.
They are the evil empire. And oh, there's so
Yeah.
many things that are so frustrating, but we persevere. So, okay. Any other questions about marketing, about anything that we've done over the course of the last 6 weeks, too? Because this is our opportunity to talk about anything you want. Cool. Okay. All right. Feeling confident.
I would just like to mention, I would just like to mention how smart and doable the 90-day concept is.
Good. Report back to me and let me know how
Yeah,
it
that's
goes for
really,
all of you. I would love to know
yeah.
where you find successes and where you find stumbling blocks. And I mean, this is tough work. We're often in a silo, right? So it's good to have people that we can
Mhm.
connect with and share ideas with. And I love IBPA for
Mhm.
that reason. Who's all going to Portland in May? Okay. Well, I will be there. So I'll see
Okay.
you there, Doug.
Oh,
Yeah.
So you
I
guys,
go
I,
every
I
year.
grew up in Portland.
Oh,
I,
really?
I grew up in Portland. Yeah, I was a teenage brat hanging out in Powell's bookstore.
Which,
Um,
yeah,
I left Portland. I completed my medical training in Portland, and I left, and I'm here in Utah. But I have family in Portland, so I'm going
yeah.
to be there. It's going to be fun. I'll have to say hi. But yeah,
Nice.
Portland's a great place, and so I'm looking forward to being back.
Nice. I lived in Portland for 1 year. My sister lived in Portland for about 25 years, but I love Portland. I grew up in the Pacific Northwest, so it sort of feels like home to me.
Hey,
So
can I,
tell
can I,
Jennifer, I need
Oh,
to, I need to, I need to correct you, okay?
okay.
Because when I grew up in the Pacific Northwest, it was the Great Pacific Northwest. In grade school, it was always
Yeah.
called the Great Pacific Northwest. They've shortened it, but I'm going to
It's
have
still
a,
great.
a movement, a movement to add that first word. We've dropped that first word off. It's the Great Pacific Northwest.
Okay, I will
hey,
remember
hey,
that.
hey, Doug?
Catherine.
I just don't know what Portland means. So could
Oh,
you just,
really? Oh,
yeah.
Portland, Oregon.
Oh, no, I know about Portland, Oregon, but I mean, what's going on in Portland, Oregon that we should know about?
Okay. IBPA has their annual
Oh,
publishing university for 3 days. Every year it moves from city to city.
Okay,
Last year it was in St. Paul, Minnesota, and this year it's going to be in Portland, Oregon.
I
And
got
it's
you.
a
Okay.
wonderful conference. You know, it can be expensive because you got to pay for the conference and the room and the travel, but it's really a lovely weekend of meeting other publishers and talking to people who are going through the same thing you are and
Oh, okay.
you have an opportunity to talk to all the experts. You can schedule 15-minute consultations with any expert who's on the list. I always put myself on the list and people talk to me about everything, and I've gotten clients out of that, and just met really cool people.
Thanks. Okay.
Did
That's
someone
all.
else want to say
Okay.
something before David, or who was talking? You were talking. Someone was saying something. We
Well,
got really.
I was just going to ask Doug a question.
Oh,
Oh,
Who
yeah,
please
yeah.
do.
who is your furry friend who seems to be really bored with our conversation behind you?
My furry friend.
I almost spit
My,
up my tea.
this is
He's cute.
that's my furry friend. That's my
He is
furry
bored.
friend. And I have to tell you a story. I was talking with some other authors, and one person that has written a book, and he's talked about rescue dogs. And I live in the snowy mountains of Utah, so there's been lots of avalanches this year. There's avalanche dogs, there's rescue dogs, and this guy's written a book, and it's probably a really good book about, rescue dogs and how they're trained and how they're taught and the stories of miraculous rescues. I put in the chat boxes, my dog,
He's not rescuing anyone.
my dog, Mr. Bear, will rescue if you have a granola bar in your parka pocket. That's what he would do. So yeah.
He's
Yeah,
cute.
but Jennifer's got
That's
a
awesome.
furry friend right up on her right
I have a
shoulder
cat.
up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Furry friend. Well, what's fun is that it's fun to put a furry friend in a book. It's fun to put furry friends in a book. Of course, Mimi's going to have owls in her book. So
That's right.
yeah,
Owl's.
yeah, yeah.
Well, I want to make sure that we have enough time to get to the rest of the material, and then we can chit chat afterward. I'll be happy to stay on a little longer.
Okay.
Anyone else have any comments, questions about any of the coursework before I go to my website? Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. Oh wait, Jean says she tried to show up her furry friend, but couldn't get the right angle. Well, you'll have to send us a photograph. Okay, so on my website, and again, this page, we talked about this last time, will be up for a very long time. I'm going to remove, after about maybe 6 weeks, I'm going to remove our videos from here because this is just for us. What I might do is create maybe another, well, it's on YouTube. If you just grab the link to YouTube, you can look at these forever. They're unlisted, they're private for us, but if you have the link, you can watch them. But what I really want to point out to you today is these additional resources. And someone had asked me last week if I would go through each one and kind of talk about them. And I will. I'm going to do that in just a minute. But before I do that, I want to talk about week 5 has a brand takeaways, which I can move up to the resources. And week 6 has a brand checklist. So let's look at this one first. I've created these PDFs to just help you kind of put everything, organize everything so it's not in the forms. So the strategy, my brand strategy takeaways is just a worksheet that you can fill out that kind of goes through everything we've been discussing. And it's a 7-page document. Also above that I have, or below that I have the brand checklist. Now the checklist I think is really important because it reminds us to do things throughout the year that we kind of forget about. And then I'll go into some of the timesheets as well. Let me see if I can get to the top of this. So it's a maintenance checklist that I have broken down into things that I would like you to think about. Always ask for endorsements. Always carry a notebook or have an app on your phone so you can track content and ideas and aha moments. And this happens to me all the time. I will see a bus with something on it that gives me an idea. So I have an app on my phone that I just collect it. And then when I go to write content or create a blog, I just look at my notes of things that inspired me. It's really nice to have those real life moments too, to humanize it. Always be prepared to track your research and collect your data points. We already talked about this a couple minutes ago, right? This is so important. Create Google alerts for your name, your company name, your book title. See what other people are talking about. I remember when I first started my company, when I first started blogging, I had Google alerts sent for my name. And I was discovering that small IBPA affiliates were taking my content and publishing it in their online newsletters, which is, a copyright infringement and kind of interesting in its own right. But I didn't care because I was delighted that people were sharing my content. This is 20 years ago. I was trying to make it into, this business and make a name for myself. So what would I do? I'd reach out to those people and say, hey, I see you shared my content. I would love to come and speak to your group. I would love to give you more content. So I made relationships with these people. I really took advantage of this, what was really just someone stealing my content. So see if someone's talking about you, see if someone's using your content, and see if there's something you can do in the positive. I think of it always as a positive. I don't care if people take my content or excerpt my content, because in the world that we live in, that's going to happen. Now, obviously, we don't want someone to steal your content and sell it as their own. That's different. I was credited in those newsletters, by the way. Back up your computer. This happens automatically now, so it's sort of a redundant thing. But I want you to go through and look at these things. So I have daily, weekly, and monthly, quarterly, things that are really important for the foundation of your brand. Go in quarterly and subscribe to your own blog. Does it still work? Things break. Just like the brakes break on your car, your subscriber form on your website just might mysteriously not be working, or maybe your contact form stops working. If you don't test it quarterly, you're not going to know. See if you have broken links on your website. There's a broken link means that you link to something and then it quits working. So, for example, if this quit working, this workbook link here quit working, when Google and search engine bots go through a website and they're scanning all the information, if they hit a broken link, they back out and they leave. They don't keep going. So your content is not getting indexed because of a simple little break in a link, and it might not be your fault. You could be linking to something on my website and I removed that page and now it's a broken link. So just do a check. Moving down, every 6 months, check in on your bio. Is it up to date? Have you included the latest accomplishments? Have you included that you're a finalist in the Indie Awards? Things like that will improve your bio for the people who are trying to find you. And then annually, do an audit of everything. And so I just have a checklist here for you to go through. So I'll close out these two. And now moving back up, I also just want to mention, I don't think I've asked you to, but subscribe to my newsletter if you're interested in getting my weekly tips. I post, and I'm getting ready to switch to Substack, so there'll be a small change. But a lot of this stuff you'll find on my blog. So going up into the resources, I have a positioning statement here. If you have not written your positioning statement, it's just a simple little worksheet to help you do that. Who you are, who you serve, and why people care. What is it about you that you want people to remember? And if you have a clear understanding of your positioning statement, you're more likely to talk about it accurately and clearly in your own content. So that's the positioning statement. I have a bio writing worksheet. Pretty sure I showed this one to you before, but if you haven't written your bio, frankly, I don't even know if you need this anymore. I think you can put it into ChatGPT and it'll help you. But what's cool about my system is it helps you go through and really think about the steps of a bio and what you want to accomplish and all the things that make it work for you, make it powerful. So I have a 10-step process, and then I also have a formula in here at the bottom. And the formula is this: your focus, your grabber, your credibility, your promise. Your more is sort of like, oh, by the way, Jennifer is also a founding board member of the International Memoir Writers Association. It's like those little things that you can add in. And then your call to action. Make sure you tell them what you want them to do. So this is a worksheet that you can download and work through. And if you're interested in buying my book, you can. But what you're going to get in that is more branding stuff and examples. This is the heart of the book, really. The tracking worksheets are kind of important. What this is a set of tracking worksheets that I put together for my clients that I'm sharing with you. Now, the first thing I want you to do when you open this tracking worksheet is I want you to go up to File, and I want you to make a copy. And I want you to save it on your Google Docs, because this is on my Google Docs. So if you fill this in, everyone who has this link will see your information. So the first thing you want to do is go to File and make a copy and share it to your own Google Drive. So down here at the bottom is what's really important to pay attention to. We've got the online bio profile, comparable titles, keyword phrases. There's tabs all along the bottom of things that I think are important for you to track. So this list is places where your online bio may exist. Keeping a list is so crucial. because then you keep your bio updated across the internet. And if someone finds you, they're getting the most accurate information. I'm the worst. I do not follow my own information. And just yesterday, I was on my own podcast website and realized that my bio on my podcast website is so old. So, what I should be doing is every quarter, I should be going through my list of all the places where my bio exists and then going over and looking at it and making sure it's the most current, right? So, having these systems in place helps your brand stay solid. We don't want a chink in the armor. Comparable title. Here we have just a place where you can keep track of comparable titles of who they are. Now, depending on your goals, sometimes we'll track the agent if you're looking to get traditionally published. So you can change these and make them yours. Keyword phrases that maybe you want to track before you put together your final list of metadata. This is just a great place to dump it. Reviews and awards that you want to submit to. So because your book just came out, David, you want to start submitting for awards probably in the fall because your book is a 2026 title, but those award submissions aren't going to open up till later. So track them in this tracking sheet, put it on your calendar so you have a plan and you know what they need from you. That way you're not 3 days before the deadline. I need my cover and a JPEG and this, get it all done. Influencers. So this is a spreadsheet where you can track who this person is. And in my branding world, we care about things like their tagline. We remind ourselves of what their expertise is and what do we agree with and what do we disagree with. This is a really important part of understanding who the people who influence your market are. What you agree with is ways you can collaborate with them. What you disagree with is ways that you can improve your own content and messaging strategy to speak to the needs of your audience. So one of the ways I find things that I disagree with is I go and, I read the book or I watch their talks and I'm like, I think a little differently on that. And I track it because this is really good for me. I can write an article on that topic. It's one thing to be like, in fact, I recently was reading a book for a contest, and the first chapter was all about how this person is similar to a famous writer. And I thought to myself, we don't care about this other famous writer. Like, to me, it was signaling I'm not good enough, but this guy is, and he's doing it too, so therefore I must be good enough, right? So we don't want to talk about how we agree with them. Think about who we are and strengthen our messaging in that way. I have a competition. Supporters. I talk about supporters, who's going to support you in your journey, your research. It goes on. I'm not going to keep going through the tabs. I want you to go in and take a look at it. And then the book awards list is a blog that I wrote about upcoming indie book awards that you might be interested in. I change this every year and update it based on, what I think is some of the best awards that you can consider. And then another one is book reviews list. So this is another blog that I wrote about, forward indie reviews. It's one of my favorites is at the top of the list. Readers' favorites, reader reviews, book list. There's a bunch of them. They get outdated and once a year we update it. Writing your website hook. So when you're working on your website, I put together this sheet to think about your hook with some examples of how you're going to grab the attention of your readers on your website. Remember, your website isn't about you. It's about your readers. So is your bio, right? We don't really care where you went to school, right? Unless it affects how I'm going to engage with your content. So you're writing all of your content for your readers. And then last but not least, not last, there's 3 more, but these are very much similar. The book launch timeline sample. I think you've all looked at this. It gives some ideas of 6 months before, 4 to 5 months before, 3 months before, 30 to 60 days, and then your launch week. Things that you can do, and then 30 to 90 days afterward to keep the momentum going. So when you're doing your 90-day planning, take a look through this and see if there's any ideas that you can add to your plan. And then down here, we've got the endorsements letter. So I get this question probably more often than anything is like, how do I get endorsements? How do I ask? So I've put together a strategy worksheet that really talks about why people are willing to endorse you. It's not a favor. We don't want to ask for favors. It's more of a collaboration. They want to endorse you because they're getting something out of it, right? So clarify what it is you want from these people and how you can help them and how you can connect with them and get them into your circle, your networking circle. And so think of ways of outreach. So I talk about why endorsements matter, kind of walking through the worksheet. And there's 3 levels. There's group 1. I talked about this before. Easy peasy. These people are going to give you an endorsement. Group 2 are people who are maybe peers or your group maybe has a connection to. So it'd be easier to get to them, but it's going to take some work and some strategy. And then group 3 is people who are really going to be hard to get to, like Reese Witherspoon, right? But that doesn't mean we're not going to try. Putting together a plan and thinking about how you can help them and how to write this in a way that it's working together and not you just asking for a favor. And then a little bit of outreach, preparation, the timeline, how often to follow up. I think you asked that question earlier, Doug, and I didn't actually answer it. So, how many times do you get back to somebody? Ultimately, it's different for everyone. But if they get back to you and say, yes, I'd be interested in, then keep following up. If you don't hear back from the person, depending on who they are, they might not have seen it, or they might have been interested and didn't have time. So follow up is really important. There's a book called How to Submit by Michael Sweeney. I think it's Michael Sweeney. I interviewed him on my podcast. He was fantastic. And one of the things he told me that really stuck with me was he was submitting short stories to anthologies to get published. And he kept submitting and he kept submitting and he kept submitting. And someone might think he was absolutely insane because he wasn't giving up. Like at some point, you just got to be like, okay, I'm not good enough. I should give up. But he didn't. And he got a letter from one of the editors that said, hey, this is, you've submitted several times and I want you to know, I noticed your work is really good. It's just not a fit this month, but please keep submitting. Now, what a nice thing that editor did, right? And so it told Michael that, I think his name is Michael, Mr. Sweeney, I know his name's Sweeney, that following up and keep trying, so with endorsements, because you haven't gotten an answer, that doesn't mean it's a no. There are a lot of things that are happening. So it's okay to follow up several times. And it's, I give you some guidelines in here of how many times, but it's really up to you. But don't give up. That's the thing. Okay, now this last ask letters, I just clicked it and you'll notice it didn't go to a new page because it's a Word document. So it downloaded to my downloads and it's going to download to your computer too. So you need to know where your downloads go. And then I'm going to open up this document so you can see what it looks like. These are ask letters. This is what you put together maybe 30 days before or 7 days before your launch date, letting people know you've done something really amazing. Now, these ask letters, there's samples. There's option 1 and there's option 2. They come from the perspective of, these were clients who were like, I do not want to do this. I feel very uncomfortable asking people to do things for me. And I'm like, then tell them that. So it says, let's see if it's maybe this one. So, it talks a little bit about a review she got, her book. So right off the top, my book title comes out, blah, blah, blah. Independent book review called it a memoir that you'll, in some sort of accolade. I call it the hardest and most vulnerable thing I've ever done, right? She didn't want to write this letter. I forced her to do it. So she just straight up said it. If you've ever felt, and then she goes into, here's who will, appreciate this book. And if you want to help me, here are some things you can do. So there's literally a list. Please consider buying the book for yourself or as a gift, or both if you can afford it, if you have the means. Write a review on Amazon, write a review on Goodreads, like it on Goodreads, go into your library, share it with 2 friends. So there's all these ideas and things that these people can do to help you out. So I have 2 versions of the letter that you can check out. They're pretty similar. This one, I know this takes a village. So many of you have supported me in my life and work, and for this, I'm always grateful. It's letters that are written with gratitude. So you have these letters available to look at, take what you want, and write your own letter. It's a wonderful way to remind people that you've done something really extraordinary And for the most part, the people who love us, even our colleagues who we haven't talked to in years, want to help. I mean, I think I told you this. I have a client on LinkedIn and he's been talking about his book. And all these people that he hasn't talked to in over a decade are like, this sounds amazing, Jim. Congratulations. I want to help. Write those names down in a spreadsheet. This is your possible street team. And then ask them, how much do you want to help? Do you want to just do an announcement, or can I give you like things that you can do to help me? And then this last thing, and I didn't mean to stop sharing my screen. This last thing is the marketing page. So once you've put together your street team and you have a plan for what you want people to do, create a page on your website that is only for the street team. And what it is things that they can do to talk about your book and share this extraordinary feat that you have accomplished publishing your work. And in here, we've got a general Q&A, the official press release, digital galleys that you can download a copy of the book, or in this case, she emails it. And then she's got two bios if you want to talk about, if the person wants to talk about you on their own website. There's some videos that she recorded that people can share on social media. There's Twitter posts, like literally written out Twitter posts people can copy and paste into their Twitter feed. So now you have 10 people who are sharing things on their channels. Most people are going to change this a little bit, but even if they don't, who cares? With some hashtags, Facebook and Instagram posts, and down here, my favorite images, like cool images of your book. And David, you'll have fun with this because your book is so adorable. If you can get kids reading the book, like a short video, or kids sitting on a couch reading it, or just placing it in various settings, and have photos available that people can share on their own social channels. Or if they email it to a friend, they have what they need to tout it, to talk about it. So this is just, a marketing page, and then also the book cover and headshots of you that people can share. So this is in my, okay, it's not here. I'm going to put it right here. I have not added it, but I'm going to put that right after the ask letters will be a link to a sample of marketing page. So you can go back and look at all of these on your own. And we've done a really good job because it's almost 11 o'clock. So what I want to do now is there anything missing, anything you really feel like you need, or any questions about all this?
I have a question.
Okay.
You mentioned a one sheet. I have a tip sheet for my book, but it's on two sides.
That's
Is
great.
that okay?
Yeah, it's
Oh,
a one,
okay.
a one sheet is, oh, you know what? I just remember I was going to also upload a book club. Here, let me show them to you, and I will put these on here. But a one sheet is a great idea, and I can share with you, and I'll put them on here, some one sheets that we've done for clients, depending on the type of book that it is,
Mhm.
obviously. But to be more specific, though, if you're going to a bookstore to try and get them to carry your book, you really do want your tip sheet to be on one side, not two sides of the paper, because they're very unlikely to look at both. So if it's someone who has a very short attention span, make it one sheet. If we're touting someone for a podcast, or trying to get them to speak at a conference, then the one sheet will actually be two-sided. David, you have a question while I'm looking for these things.
Uh, I've got some question about reviews, but I'm happy to ask my question after this if you don't want to take up recorded time on it. Doesn't matter to me.
Does anyone want to talk about reviews? Yeah,
I
I'm
do.
thinking everyone wants to talk about reviews. Let's do
Okay.
it.
Well, then here's my question. So, yeah, awards. I've submitted for a half dozen. I'm pleased to say I've won one, and I'm doing what you're saying. I'm tracking other awards that are coming up to make sure I don't miss deadlines, that kind of stuff. And award submission fees, I think, are fairly affordable, in general, between $75, $100, whatever type thing.
Yeah.
Reviews,
Yeah.
reviews, on the other hand, damn things are expensive. They're between $300 and $500. And so my question is,
Yeah.
when do you stop needing to get reviews? I mean, I got Kirkus, I got Book Life, and I feel like both of those are good. Do I really need to go spend another 400, $500 to get a Clarion or Forward review or not? So,
So it's a good question. And for me, the answer is always based on budget. And we decide in advance how much do you want to spend total. And then we say, okay, here's our goals. We have this much money to get there. Where are we going to spend this money? And does it make sense for us to invest $2,000 in reviews when we've only got this much money to work with? No, it doesn't. Okay, so let's choose the two that makes the most sense. So I have one author who literally just did the Book Life Clarion. I think it's the Book Life, the Clarion, where you can get two in one. And remember, IBPA has discounts for this stuff. You can get 35% off the book review package from Clarion. Forward also has a discount. Kirkus has a discount. So it's really a matter of just strategizing where you want to spend your money. And you only need maybe two editorial reviews to be considered credible for libraries and
That
such. And
that
that's
was
where you,
actually that's the heart of my question was, you know,
yeah.
how many good reviews, once you've got X number of reviews that you consider to be good, and then you can stop, right? So you just said two, and
Yeah,
that's
yeah, exactly. So pick two and, whatever your
yeah,
budget is, and then
right.
go after endorsements. Look for other authors, children's book authors. Lee Wind is a children's book author. He's someone who having his endorsement would be really awesome and look great. So we always want to have like 7 to 10 endorsements and maybe 2 or 3 of those as editorial reviews. But, I see people who have 20 endorsements and reviews from everywhere, and that just tells me they had a really big budget. You know what I mean? Like at some point it becomes noise.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you.
yeah. I want to show you the book club picture real quick. Not the picture, the kit, the book club kit. And I'll put a link to these, a couple of these. So here's a book club kit. It's got the cover. It's kind of fun. There's a letter to the reader. There's discussion questions, the author. These are fun things that you can do. This is the Brit Pop playlist. I've had authors do recipes. Here's one for a cocktail that's in the book. Here's another one that's kind of nice. They're colorful, they look like the book, and they have fun things in here that are just awesome for book club members. They love book club kids. So I just wanted to share these as something to consider when you're creating some of your assets. And you can do these in Canva or you can hire someone. Doug, didn't you have a question?
You know, I don't know how to pose this, but and I know that this is not an author support group, but
Is
I
it
got a
though?
review from or I got a review from Forward Clarion, and it was okay. It was good. I thought it was good. I thought it was honest. I was happy. There were some quotable things in it. And then yesterday, I got a review from Kirkus, and it was awful. I mean, it's not a
Let
good
me,
review.
I want to tell you that I've gotten some bad reviews from Kirkus, and I've told my authors that, it's kind of a 50-50 chance. And books that I personally read and thought were fantastic, that the reader just didn't like this book and was
Hmm.
kind of
Right.
harsh.
Hmm.
Which
Well,
and I'm not gonna.
I'm gonna quote, and this is their ending statement: an unsatisfying story of a family discovery. And
Oh,
I can't use that. I can't use that review. I don't
Mhm.
want, and I don't even know where to go now. There's things I
Mhm.
want to rewrite now.
Hmm.
My book's gone through 3 editors. It's been 4 beta readers, and now I get a review that makes me question everything I'm doing with this book. It makes me want to like
Uh,
start
two
over
things.
again,
Two things.
and yeah,
Not everyone's your reader. Remember that.
yeah,
I
yeah.
think that it's good for us to take criticism and improve our writing, right? But if you've gone through the
Mhm.
process and you have had beta readers, if you might do another round of beta readers who are strangers, and that might be something I
Yeah,
can help you with because I have, a group of
yeah,
people who will read books. But that moment where one person doesn't like your book doesn't change anything. You have to believe in your book. And so, you're not going to accept that review. It doesn't have to be published, and that's okay. But you might
yeah.
want to like look into it and really think deep about it, but you also have to be able to believe in your book and know that not everyone's your reader, and that's okay. And Mimi, you were going to say something.
I just feel for you, Doug. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
totally.
Yeah. You
one
know, I,
one negative comment.
can destroy.
Can torpedo my spirits despite
Yeah,
20 positive ones. Sure.
totally.
Yeah. Yeah. So that seems very unprofessional, though. Most paid reviewers agree to at least give you some takeaway that, yeah,
I
There's
think
no
I
there
think Kirkus
if
is
there's
you,
an
there's
exception.
no really good takeaway. There's like a half a sentence, 5 words that I can take away. But I think, I'm struggling trying to get some strategy here. And I think I might do another really short round of a beta read and get some. There's no their review. There's no actionable changes. They just
Mm,
criticize. So
mm,
maybe another round of a couple of beta readers really digging into it and say, hey, these are the things that really change. And I can change it. I just want to be this. I just want this book to be a good book. I just want it
Yeah,
to be something I'm proud of.
sure.
Yeah.
Jean.
Thanks, guys. I wish
Yeah,
the best for you. I'm so excited that Gene's got this for Clarion, finalist thing. That's wonderful. That's so happy for you. I'm really that's
thank
just great
you.
news.
But please don't let one reviewer change how you feel about your book
Yeah,
because you don't know who that person is or what they like to read. I
yep.
mean, I just got back from an editor the book of my heart and soul. And I know that the editor just didn't like the premise of the book,
Yeah.
start to finish. And it destroyed me a little bit because it was supposed to be a copy edit that they felt like they needed to provide a
Oh,
development edit.
wow.
Yeah, it was tough. But like, you have I think when you get some distance from it and look again at what you like about your book, you can start to say, you can do what I did, which was say you're an idiot, but not to their, but you can also just say, like, this book just isn't for you. And at the end of
Yeah.
the day, I had to look at it and say, the people who read it, they liked it because they were the audience. And
Mhm.
I know my editor well enough to know, and also based on some of the feedback that they gave me and things like that, that they would never like this book because it just doesn't fit
That's
in,
not their, yeah, not their
and
genre. Yeah.
that's gonna happen. But I am really sorry because I am sending this one to Kirkus. It's going to be the first time I've ever sent anything to Kirkus, but that is because so my day job, I'm a librarian,
Mm.
and like librarians know Kirkus. It's like the only place that, and they publish they publish bad reviews. I guess not from indies because we are paying for them, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
in from trad, they'll publish bad reviews, and they're
Sure.
known for being harsh.
Well, I just paid for one. Oh, God.
We do need
Uh,
a Kirkus support group.
We
yeah.
do.
Um, yes, Jean, you need flu flocky do in your rescue, says David. I want to pause for a minute because we are after time. Is there anyone who needs to get off soon and we should wrap up, or Catherine needs to get going? Or you have a question?
I don't have a question. I just didn't want to be rude. It was such a good conversation, but I'm in an Airbnb that I'm past the time from getting out of here. So
Oh, God, I had a
anyway.
feeling. Catherine, thank you so much for coming. Anyone who needs to jump
I,
off, all the materials will be here.
And I did want to just say that this particular class is I don't know how I got so lucky to find this at exactly the right time. It's like 6 months before my book is going to be published, and I'm just, everything is like pushing out, and then I learned all this stuff from you, and it was just really fabulous. So I really deeply appreciate this class. It was just wonderful. So thank
Hey,
you very
I,
much.
I
I
want to
agree.
pile on and echo
Thank
what
you,
Catherine just
Catherine.
said.
Yes.
Hugely beneficial.
Yes.
Jennifer, I mean, I feel like, I think I told this to you in email. I feel like I've just gotten a master's class in this topic, over the last 6 weeks, and so whatever I can do to give you the strongest endorsement. I presume Lee may send out something to us, to the class after the
Mm.
fact, maybe
Yep.
asking.
Yeah, so I agree, Jennifer. I want to add my testimonial to how wonderful and insightful and helpful
Thank you
this
guys.
class has
Thank you so
been. But
much.
I don't know where to do that.
Bye, Catherine.
Where's a good place to give a shout out to you and your class and your content? I just love it.
Thank you. Lee Wind is definitely going to reach out
Okay.
and ask, but you're welcome to go on my LinkedIn page and say you
Okay.
took a class. I've been meaning
Okay.
to start working on my own social media, so that would
What
be lovely.
about what about in Portland at the IBPA University? What could I do there? Do you have a booth? I'll stand in your booth and give testimony after testimonial
No, no booth.
to you.
But I'll be there, so we'll have to like have lunch together at some point.
Yeah, yeah, get together somehow. Okay.
Yeah, that'd
All
be
right, I
great.
gotta go,
Thank you.
guys. I got
Yes,
I
I
got a
do
lot of I
too.
got a lot of
Wonderful
work
to
to
be
do.
with you all. And Jennifer, I
Take
echo everything that everyone said. Just amazing resources.
Mm.
So many of them. Yeah.
Well,
I know,
hey,
one thing at a time, friends. Thank you all for coming, and I wish you all the best. Let's stay in touch.
Thank
okay.
you.
Thank
All
you.
Jennifer,
right. Yes.
Jennifer,
Bye, Doug.
speaking of LinkedIn,
Hmm.
my invitation to connect is still pending.
Oh, Jesus. Let me just do that right now. I'm hiring someone to help me get on top of this stuff because I just can't seem to do it myself. Yeah, I will approve you right now.
Thank you.
Um,
And then I sent you a separate email during this class.
okay.
Seek, I would like to have the contact use indicated of someone who can make it an ebook format.
Okay.
So
Yeah, you
yeah,
sent me an email.
I did.
Great.
I did.
I'll introduce
Yes.
you. His name's Tony Bonds. He's one of my designers. Um,
Okay.
and he does all of my conversion. So I'll just introduce you to, I'll ask him first and make sure he's okay with doing something outside of Monkey See Media, but I'm sure he'll be happy to work with you.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Audrey, are you leaving or did you want to ask
Oh no,
something?
I'm finished. Yeah, thanks,
Okay.
Jennifer. It's been a great
Thank you
course. I
both.
appreciate it.
I
Bye,
appreciate you.
David.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.